Hello, I'm here today to talk about the K dramas that I watched and I didn't like because I do have a list. I have watched shows and gotten like a certain point through the show and was just like, I'm gonna drop it, I can't do it. Obviously, I'm not gonna include those because I have to have watched almost all of it, I feel like, for it to count. I have one, I think, actually, no, I have two shows on this list that I watched to a certain episode point and then skipped through the rest. Um, and I'm still going to include both of those because one of them is genuinely one of the worst dramas I've ever watched, and the other one, I watched almost all of it, so I think it counts. Um, Also, I am sick, so if I need to cough or I sound, you know, kind of sexy, um, that's why. Anyways, okay. Also, if I sound out of breath, that's just because I'm out of, I'm probably out of breath. It's hard to talk consecutively without being like, you know what I mean? Okay, anyways. Let's see, what do I want to start on? Okay, I'll start on this little post-it note. The first one is called Luca the Beginning. This show, the reason I started it was because the main male lead, his name is Kim Rae Won. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this man. He is not in a lot of stuff. I think he's really beautiful and gorgeous, and I think he's a really good actor. I want to watch it. So I started, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a really good show. Like the plot's interesting. It's different. It's unique. I haven't seen anything like it. But then, unfortunately, it hit about episode. I want to say like episode between 7 and 9, because I can't exactly remember when it started. I think it was like almost towards the end of the show. That's another thing. The show only had 12 episodes, so it just got bad kind of late in the show, which was also weird. But basically, it followed this guy who he didn't have superpowers necessarily, but he had like something to do with electricity. He could like electrocute people. Girl, I don't know. It was something like that. Okay. Um, and then he meets this detective who's like super suspicious of him, and then they keep getting like entangled in different situations where they're just like together, and it's like, wait, why are we together? Like what's the word? What past do we share? Because they share a past, which I'm like, they didn't need to share a past, but whatever, it's fine. It's fine in this show because it kind of made sense in the context, so it was fine. So anyways, they keep getting like kind of stuck together in these situations, and she's suspicious of him. Whatever, things happen. Lives are saved, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They end up falling in love. That's a big thing. And they end up actually having a baby. Now, the baby is a big part of the show because the baby has superpowers like him. And the main guy, the main character, he was experimented on when he was a kid by this like crazy like mad scientist guy. And basically that's the other part of the show where the bad people are trying to find them so they can like experiment on him and like, you know, do terrible things to him. So he's been running away. That's like why he's like a little like vagrant running around looking crusty but still somehow hot. Anyways, so the show follows that. That's like the main part of the plot. It just ends on a really depressing note and an unsatisfying note. It's just kind of like, why did I spend 12 episodes watching this show when it was just going to end like this? Because the end isn't even satisfying. It's literally just so sad and like depressing, and it's just not good. And they kind of hinted at the end they hinted at the end of the show that there might be a second season because they kind of set it up where it was like an open-ended thing. And I think I saw somewhere that it was potentially supposed to get a sequel, like another season, but it obviously didn't, and I'm glad it didn't because I don't think they would have been able to salvage it because genuinely it was just they killed off the mom. That's what I'm trying to say. They killed off his like not his wife. They weren't married, but like his partner, right? The woman of the the woman of the baby. The mother of the baby. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, they kill her off, and it's stupid. It's like doesn't make any sense. Anyways, so yeah, I was upset by that. I still wish they wouldn't have done what they did. Okay, the next show I want to talk about is Not Others. It's basically a show about a mother and a daughter, and their tumultuous. I know that's not how you say it. Relationship. That's like the whole plot. The mom had her daughter when she was young, so they only have like an 18-ish year age gap. I think it's not much. Like they're pretty close in age. They still live together, and I feel like that's part of their issue is why they don't get along is because they also live together, so they're like always in each other's business. The mom has a separate love storyline with I think it's the father of her daughter, like it's the dad of the the my words, oh my gosh, of the main female lead, who's the daughter. I guess they're both technically the main female leads, because whatever. Anyways, that's a whole separate plotline. I didn't care for the mom the whole show. She's selfish and she's mean, and she never really goes through any type of development. I don't like the way she treats her daughter. Their relationship is like so messy, and it's like it doesn't ever really like get better. From what I remember, it just literally is like stays the same. I liked the daughter's plot line because she's a police officer, and she has a kind of like it takes a long time, almost the whole show, but she has a little like romance with one of her other officers that work there, and they're really cute together. But again, I could have watched the whole show with the two of them and not had the mom in the show, because genuinely, again, I did not like her. She's just she was just a horrible person. I just like didn't like her at all. Okay, pause. So that was that show. And it ended, and I just didn't care. I was like, I don't care. I don't even like this show. Why do I care what's going on? Okay, the next show is a show called Song of the Bandits, which was like a Western K-drama. So it's like in like, I don't know if it's supposed to be in like the 1800s or something. I don't know. Okay, I was really excited for this show. I was like, this looks different, a different kind of genre, something I haven't seen before. It was mid. It was just okay. There was nothing really that special about it. It wasn't terrible. It just didn't have any pow. You know what I mean? Like, there was nothing that was like, oh, this is so good. I liked the main guy. He was interesting. But I thought his relationship with, like, his love interest was so boring. And so there was no spice. There was no spark. There was nothing there. And mostly I think that's because the female lead, she just wasn't that good of an actress. And it's not that she was like bad. It's just I think my issue with her was that she just didn't have like a lot of emotion. So also my family is upstairs, so if you hear anything, that would be them. Also, my mom just sneezed, so like 5 seconds ago. So if you heard that, that was my mother. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, she just didn't have. Hold on, I think she might be coming downstairs. Oh, she's just outside my room. Anyways, yeah, the female lead just didn't. There's just nothing there. I wasn't interested in her plot. I didn't think she was interesting. I also didn't care for their like forbidden romance. I was like, girl, I don't care. This is so boring. There's no spice. I've seen this plot line 700 times. Like, there was nothing new driving that, the drama of that. So that was not great. I did, however, so he had like this girl that was after him, this woman that was after him, and she wanted to kill him, like, and I was like, enemies to lovers? Because I was like, their interactions were 10 times more interesting than him and his other supposed love interest. So I was like, I wanted an enemies to lovers. I also thought that actress and that character was so much more worthy of being the main female lead, who should have led the whole show. And the other girl, I'm sorry, didn't even need to be in the show, which, anyways, I have Martha. I don't understand why they cast. The actress is fine. I think she's been in other stuff. I think she's fine in other stuff. I just don't think her character in this show was just bland. I hate bland female leads. Women that get cast simply because they're pretty but they can't act I'm so sorry, but like, it's your whole literal job to act. If you can't act, go to acting lessons. This is literally what you get paid for. This is your job. Shouldn't you care about your craft and want to put some effort in, and not be like, have people be like, oh my gosh, that girl can't act and she only got cast because she's pretty? Because I'm sorry, but I have seen too many shows, random tangent, but I have seen too many shows with the female lead is beautiful, but she can't act. She has no nothing. There's nothing behind those eyes. It's just blank. And I'm like, yeah, she's pretty, but at what cost? Do you know how many pretty actresses can act? There's this one specific actress that I absolutely adore, and she is probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. I love her so much, and she's such a good actress. So I'm like, it's not difficult to find female actresses who are beautiful and can act. It's not hard. And there's this one actress that I have such beef with that keeps getting cast in things. I just don't like her face. I don't like her because I'm like, I just don't think she's good at acting. And she keeps getting cast in these main roles. And she's cast alongside so many other people, not even just like, she's a woman, so she can't act, and the men can always act. But tell me why she keeps getting cast amongst really talented male actors, and then she just is there. Or she gets cast alongside female actresses who are good at acting, but she's just giving nothing. I think one of the worst that I've ever seen, I have two shows, and this is such a random tangent, but I have to talk about this now because now I'm thinking about it. There is a show called All of Us Are Dead. I have complained to everyone in my life about this show because it's just genuinely, I have never seen a female lead with so little emotion in my life. I don't know why she was so bad at acting. Everyone else was carrying. Everyone else was putting their heart and soul into that character, but she was like a blank piece of paper. I don't understand why she couldn't get her act together. Literally, I was like, girl, this is your freaking job. I've seen her in like 3 or 4 shows, okay? She's better in some, but she's still mediocre. I don't think she's a good actress. I don't think she really has any, I don't think she really has any, like, I don't know. She, like, doesn't know how to, like, portray emotion. And let me say this. I'm not saying that if, you know how some people are like, oh, I could do it so much better. I'm like, I probably couldn't do it better. Honestly, I probably couldn't. But here's my point. Like I said, this is your job. You freaking get paid to act. So if you're so bad at acting, why don't you go to acting lessons and get help? Is everyone in your life lying to you and telling you that you're doing an amazing job? Also, the take that's used is obviously a bad take, but how many takes did you do this if this was the best version? You know what I mean? If this was your best version, how many bad versions were? What was so bad about the other ones? Because this is the worst that I've seen. So, but if this was the best, anyways. So that's that rant about her. There's this other actress who, I kind of feel bad for her in this case, only because I don't think she's been in too many shows. I think this was only like her second work. I seen her in 2 things, and she can't act at all. She is just a pretty face, and maybe she's one of those actresses that at one point in her life she'll turn her acting around and she'll like get better, and she hasn't been acting for that long, so I guess it's like okay, but it's to me, she got cast in this show called The Impossible Heir, and the 2 male leads are giants. They are so literally, they're actually so tall, but not like that. They're so good at acting, both of them. They are just incredible actors, and they have good shows that they've both been in. And yet this show tanked so bad because she had no emotion the whole show. She's supposed to be like a relatively like, it's a character that's supposed to portray some kind of emotion, you know what I mean? Nothing. And the thing is, the other female lead, who was like kind of one of the other main characters, she was acting her butt off, and she was serving. So it was like, it just made the other girl, who's supposed to be the main character, it made her faults so much more noticeable. And honestly kind of painful, because it was like, how are you not seeing that you're giving nothing? The emotion, 0. Anytime she had any kind of emotion, it was like she had the same face. It was like she looked mildly irritated, or not even irritated, she looked mildly inconvenienced. I could rant about bad female actresses forever, and I know that makes me sound sexist, but listen, girl, I don't know what it is, because I know for a fact there's good female actresses, but there's also a lot of not good female actresses in the industry for some reason. I'm not even talking like American Western actors. I'm simply talking about Korean actors that I've seen in shows that are just bad. I don't know what it is. Sorry, that was right into the mic. Okay, anyways, I got so distracted, off on a total tangent. Okay, the next show, The Killing Vote. This show was chaotic, weird, and did not make any sense. It also ran for way too long. Like, the show should have been finished releasing in, like, I don't remember what month it was in, but it like started in a month, and it took so long to finish because they just kept getting delayed, and the episodes kept getting pushed back, and then it was like so much time would go in between every episode. So it was like by the time you finally got a new episode, you were like, I don't even really care anymore. And it was only freaking 12 episodes. So it wasn't even like a full-length drama. So it wasn't even like 16 episodes. 12. That was it. This show basically was kind of like a vigilante-esque type, like, dark hero where he like the villain kills bad people, and so then it's like the police trying to figure out who it is. That's like literally the plot. It was messy. It was not good. I can't believe I finished it. It was like finishing it out of spite, genuinely. The villain in that show too was low-key so icky. He's like one of those actors where he plays like psychopaths like a little bit too well. He's also very attractive. So he's a very attractive psychopath, but he was also so icky in this show. It was like, ugh, he was gross. He's really hot though. I can't deny it. But he was, ugh. And his mom, girl, his mom was the real villain. She was so annoying. Oh, I hated his mom so much. Okay, next show is Queen of Divorce. This show was the most probably mid K-drama I've ever watched. It was the most blah, meh, nothing special. It had potential in the beginning. I liked it in the beginning. It was interesting, but then it just got so bad. It was basically just about this woman who, okay, let me see if I can remember. She was an attorney, and then she got accused for a crime she didn't do. So then she went to jail, but then when she got out of jail, she basically became a divorce attorney, but like not technically. She had like this company, and she would offer her services to women who wanted to get out of, who wanted to get who wanted to get a divorce. Even though she wasn't like technically a practicing lawyer, 'cause she was like an ex-lawyer. And then she had this guy who was like an ex-hacker on her team, so he would like hack things. And then she had this other girl who was like an ex-detective. So it was like kind of like not that legal. Anyways, this again, premise was interesting. The romance was like a second chance romance. Her and her like love interest were they had dated before and then broke up, and then she got married and had a kid, but that guy was trash and he was terrible and whatever. It was not good. The end was weird. It was an unsatisfying end, and it's just not that good. It just wasn't that good. It was rushed, and it was boring. It was not good. Oh, the other thing that I hated about the show doesn't have anything to technically do with the writing, but the outfits that they put the female lead in were horrendous. They were so ugly. Not all the time, but most of the time she was wearing the most ugly, randomest outfits that just didn't make sense. And like, she's like a very beautiful woman. So I was like, why are you dressing this gorgeous person up like this? It was weird. Also, I was low-key starting to wonder if she could act, which sounds weird because I knew she was in this one show called The Penthouse, which is like a super well-known, really dramatic K-drama that has 3 seasons. It's like a major soap opera. It's like so intense, right? And I'd seen clips of her, and I was like, she can act. So I was like, why does it seem like she's the worst actress ever? Anyways, I also felt bad for the actor that played the male lead, because this was his first kind of like main character. Like, he wasn't like a side character or not like a villain or any, like he was the main character, and it wasn't very good. Okay, pause. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is Oasis. Now, this is one of the shows that I watched most of, but skipped through some of the episodes. It was kind of like a historical drama, slice of life, but like dramatic, but not good. But not a good dramatic. It followed these 3 kids, 3 teenagers, 2 guys and a girl. Obviously, there's a love triangle. It's really annoying. It's actually so annoying. A love triangle, and it just shows them from like, one of them, he started off really poor, and then he had to he became like a gang boss, and then the girl was, I don't know, doing stuff, and then the other guy became really successful. It was kind of like one of those, like, the one guy becomes successful, but he's like kind of like not a good person, but the other guy is like in a gang, but he's like a good person. It was weird. I don't even know how to explain it. It was just weird, and it wasn't good. I watched 9 or 10 episodes, and then I skipped through the last like 6 because I was just like, I just need to see how it ends, but I can't commit. I like could not commit to 6 more episodes because I was so sick of that show. I was so done with it. Every single episode that would come out, I was like, I can't do it, but I like had to. Because he'd be like, Caitlin, just drop it. I couldn't. It was like I just had to finish it. It was like I committed, so I was like, I just have to know. So yeah, that one, it's like a partial finish. I still counted it though, because it was just so bad. All the actors were good though. That was what's annoying too. Like, they were good actors, good, good, I was gonna say acting again for like the 4th time in a row. Anyways, it had potential, was just terrible. Okay, the next show I want to talk about is The Fabulous. Now, this show was, how I said, I said Queen of Divorce was mid. This Fabulous was better, but also in the same category of just like, nothing that special. Basically follows like four people that are all work in like the fashion industry, I think it was what it was. And they're like friends. And there's like a second chance romance because like the two of the characters like were like, I think they dated and then they broke up, and then it's like them falling back in love, whatever. It wasn't interesting. It was boring. Like, it just, there was no spice to the relationship. I got to see Minho's abs, so that was good because Minho from SHINee, a K-pop group, was one of the male leads. He's a beautiful man. Not the best actor, but he's pretty, and I got to see his abs, so that was pretty fun. He just doesn't, he's just like not that good of an actor. He's not a bad actor. He's just like, it's just like there's nothing that special about his performance. Like, he just was kind of pretty in there. Anyways, so yeah, the other actors were good. I really liked the one, my favorite character was she was the model of like the friend group, and she was just gorgeous. I've never seen this actress in anything. She was so beautiful. She has to be a model in real life because she literally was like drop dead gorgeous. And her relationship with her, because she was dating one guy and then he was like trash, and so she broke up with him, and then she met another guy, and then that guy was like the one that she was with the rest of the show, and he was so cute. They were so adorable. Yeah, she was the best part of the show. Nothing to write home about. It was like, I don't want to call it a slice of life because it wasn't, that's not what it was, but it was like 8 episodes, and it was like a year in their life or something. So it wasn't like a long show. There wasn't like a lot of progress. Nothing really changed. It's just there. Okay, Big Mouth. Now this show, not the animation, not the animated show. This one, was good literally up until the last couple of episodes. This one was basically about a lawyer who gets falsely accused of, what was it, being some major crime boss, and so he gets sent to jail because it gets like fabricated or whatever, that he's like this bad guy, and so he goes to jail, and so then he like he lies and he says he's this boss, and he's trying to find the real one, and he's also trying to figure out like who set him up and who like framed him and whatever while he's in jail. It's an interesting plot, and his character is married, and I really liked the wife. I liked their relationship, except the reason I didn't like this show is because they killed the wife. She dies at the end. She has like cancer and she dies, and it's so sad because it's so pointless. And the way they like rushed the end of the show with him mourning her, which it was just like not long enough, and it was just rushed and weird. And then like even them figuring out who the like big boss was, the big bad guy was, and the crime part of the show was rushed. Everything was rushed, and it was so disappointing. It was like I just watched so many episodes and this is how it ends. I'm still mad about that because the show was so good. And also the actress that played the wife is Yuna from Girls' Generation, and I love her. And so it's like I have to watch Yuna die on the screen. Please. So yeah, that one was, oh, I'm so mad because it could have been so good. Okay. The next show I'll talk about is A Model Family. I have nothing positive to say about this show. I have nothing positive. This was the worst K-drama I have ever watched. I have never seen a show so bad. I didn't like any of the characters. I think the only character, actually I shouldn't say that. I think the only character I liked was the villain, because at least his motivations made sense. Because, bro, literally, his family was so stupid. The decisions they kept making, they were all so selfish and such terrible people. It was like, they were the most like unpleasant family to watch. And like, the show wasn't even enjoyable to watch. It wasn't interesting. It literally is about this guy, this dumb guy. He was so stupid. I really like the actor, but he was dumb. He goes and he ends up finding this, he's like driving, I'm trying to remember how it happens, but he's like driving and he sees like this abandoned van on the side of the road. So he goes over to it. There's 2 dead people inside. It's all bloody and shot up and all these crazy things. And there's a thing of money, like a duffel bag of money. This idiot takes the money and then is getting hunted by the guy who's like the crime boss, gang leader, mafia. I don't know what he is, whatever he is, right? And he's trying to get the money back and he's trying to figure it out. And he's like dying of anxiety because he knows that what he did was wrong, and because he buried the money in his backyard. It's just a mess. Oh, and he buried the bodies in his backyard. I'm pretty sure that was that was the other crazy part of it. That was like, why would you do that? Every decision this character made was like so stupid, and the wife sucked because she was also cheating on him. And she was just like the worst person ever. I was like so annoyed every time she came on screen. I was like, I don't like this lady. The child, like their kids, the little boy was super weird. I didn't like him. They were trying to make him like cute, but he was just like creepy. I was like, what? This kid is weird. And then the daughter was like so stupid, and she was so like disrespectful, and she was like being so dumb. And it was like she gets herself into this like situation where it's like, I think it had to do with like drug dealers, or it's like really bad, like she's in a bad situation. Her dad comes and rescues her, and she couldn't even like bear to say thank you. I was like, please. Anyways, the show ended stupid. It started stupid, ended stupid. It was terrible. Also, there was a random, this is the other part that I always talk about this because it's crazy. So I'm watching the show, right? There's a conversation between the like bad guys. They're like having a conversation outside, they're smoking because they're always smoking. And then the next scene is literally a sex scene. It comes out of legitimately nowhere. It is a full jump scare. The only reason they put that scene in was because the man in this duo gets up, walks away, walks over to the like outside of the room where he was, and he takes a phone call. We don't hear his phone call. We don't hear anything. He barely says anything distinguishable to of what he was talking on the phone for. So literally the reason they put that in the show was because they could, because it was TV mature. That's the only reason. There's no point of that scene. And I still to this day do not understand why that was in the show, because I was like, what does this have to do with anything? And I always call that scene, it was a jump scare, because I literally went from nothing, it was like 0 to 100 in 4 seconds, and I was like, oh my gosh, skip, because I was like, why am I, what, huh? It was crazy. I still don't understand why that was in the show. It had nothing to do with anything. I hate jump scenes, jump scares, sex scenes, that's what I meant to say. Anyways, I hate those. Like, why are you, no! Stop. It was awful. Okay, let's see, where am I? Okay, Cheer Up. I could make a whole video about this show, but I will try to summarize the tragedy that was this plot. The show basically follows this girl who's going into college. She joins this, like, cheer squad, basically, that, like, that's literally it. I was going to try to explain more, but that's essentially it. So she joins this cheer squad. It's like this whole performance. It's this whole thing. She meets this guy. It's kind of like they don't really like each other at the beginning, but obviously he's the one that she's going to end up with, right? Well, what the show did not market, what am I saying? That didn't make any sense. What the show decided to do was, I have a great plan. The writer said, guys, I have a great idea. Let's make the most insufferable second male lead that has ever existed in a K-drama. Now, people talk about second male lead syndrome, which is basically just as it sounds. There's a second guy in this like love triangle of characters, and the second guy is better. He's, a better person. He likes her more. He's, one reason or another, he's actually a good person, because there is a lot of second male lead syndrome in K-dramas where the second male lead is genuinely so much better and the male lead is toxic. Okay, not in this case. This show tried to sell this literal psychopath stalker as a good second romantic option. He was obsessed with her to the point of like concerning. The first time they meet, he literally like immediately hits on her, and she's like, I'm not interested in you. And then so keep that in mind. She said no. Then they meet, and he ends up joining the cheer squad. They kind of, I think, become friends. All the while, she's still kind of starting to like the other guy, who's like the guy that I actually was like rooting for. She starts to like the other guy. But the second guy, just will not give up. And so they're kind of like friends, but he won't give up. And he will not stop telling her how much he likes her. He won't stop begging her to go out with him, to date him, I'm the best. And at a certain point, way too late in the show, like it had been too many episodes of this guy and his whininess. And he literally is like confesses and he's like, I like you, I want to be with you, like, shut up, no one cares. And she's literally like, I'm not interested, I don't want to date you. And he literally says, I don't, like, I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. Verbatim, that's like what he says. And she's just like, okay. So yeah, he just won't give up. And then I don't know how it ends up, like, ultimately, like, fixing itself, because by the end of the show they're like all friends again, because there's like a big group of people that are in like this cheer squad that are all friends. There's like other characters that have other plot lines, but I'm not going to talk about them because they're not the problematic ones, right? It's just the main three characters. I didn't like the female lead. I liked her when the show started. I could not stand her by the time the show was done. I was like, she just was making the worst decisions. As much as I liked the male lead, like the main guy that she does end up with somehow, he was so passive and he would not stand up for himself or her or their relationship, and it was really annoying. There was this also stupid murder plot that just like would not die, and it ended up being so like dumb, and it ended up literally not even mattering, because there was like this whole like rumor like, oh, someone's gonna die on this, like, if you're in this cheer squad, someone's gonna die. And it was like so dumb. It was like this prophecy. It was so stupid, and it had nothing to do with anything. There was also this really like problematic guy in their like cheer squad who's like kind of like a horrible person, and then him and like the female lead's best friend end up like together, but it was like really weird because he was like a horrible person from before, and then he like suddenly ended up with her. So that the way that the writer just wrote the male characters just awful. And we're just supposed to be like, oh yeah, it's totally fine that he's like low-key totally a stalker, or he's totally a bully, and it was like, why are we giving these men second chances with no actual, like, if they had genuine character development, maybe then it would have made sense, but there wasn't any. So yeah, this was the worst show I've ever watched. This was one of my shows that I only watched up until episode like 5, and it was good until like 5 or 6, and then from then on it would down the toilet. It was terrible, and it was one of those shows that I think I skipped through. So it's like, this one doesn't technically count of a finished, but I count it because it's still one of the worst dramas I've ever watched. And I need people to understand that it's not a good show and you shouldn't watch it. It's terrible. Okay, last, oh my gosh, I almost knocked over my coffee. Final one. This one is called Duty After School. Okay, so this one it's about a high school, classroom. So it's like 18 kids or something, or somewhere around there, because there's like a lot of main characters in this show, because it's like it follows a lot of characters. So it's this kids group. The world kind of starts to end. Let me explain. So these giant orbs, stay with me, these giant orbs come from like outer space, and they have like monsters in them. Okay, so then these monsters just start killing everybody, like literally everybody. So the military basically starts drafting these high schoolers, which is kind of weird. Starts basically drafting them into war essentially, and is like, okay, we're gonna train you guys, and you guys are gonna become like soldiers. Like, this is how it's working. So with the school that the audience follows, this guy comes and he's like, okay, I'm your platoon leader. Like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna practice military stuff, and we're gonna do this. Because I think the whole reason that they did that is because a lot of the like adults and other like military, a lot of people I think were just like killed. So there just like wasn't a lot of people. So they didn't really have a lot of options. But the other important thing to note about this show is that it takes place around the time for like, I think it was college entrance exams, or it was like some kind of final school exam thing that's like really important, right? So one of the students is like obsessed with his grades, obsessed with entrance exams, all these things. So they tell the students, I think, that like if they perform well in the military, or if they like sign up to be enlisted or whatever, they'll get like credits, I think is what they're told. So, which obviously is like not true, because like the world has kind of changed forever, and it's not going to just like suddenly, like, we're not just going to be able to like just go back to normal life, but whatever. So the one student takes that like knowledge and just like holds tight to it. He's bullied kind of the whole time, because there's this one other student that just really hates him, which this is the morally great part of the show, because what the bullied student ends up doing is far worse than anything the bully ever did to him, but you understand why, in a certain level, why he gets pushed to the edge. But then he also just makes a lot of decisions where you're like, you're crazy. So yeah, basically it follows these kids. They leave. I think they have to like leave the area that they're in, and they're like moving to a different school, or like they move to like a different building. They're like on the run or something. They like have to leave to try to get to safety away from all the monsters. And then their platoon leader, who was like my favorite character, I loved him so much, he ends up sacrificing himself in this big situation and dying. And they had this other guy who's another like adult that was with them, but he disappears. Now let me explain. Wait, hold on, let me breathe for a second. Ugh. Okay, so there was this other guy, right, that was with them. And the show is split into 2 parts for some reason. I don't know why. It has like, I think in total, I don't remember how many episodes. Like 12, maybe? Or something along those lines. The show like splits it into 2 parts. So most of the episodes are in part 1, and then only like 4 are in part 2, which I still don't get why they did this. It was so weird. But by part 2, some time has passed in the show after the platoon leader dies, and the other guy, the other adult, just disappears. He's not in the show. They don't talk about him. They don't acknowledge that he was ever in the show. They don't acknowledge that his character ever existed. It also literally does not make any sense, because obviously he's bonded really heavily with these kids, and he's also the like only like true adult. These kids are all like 18 or 19, which I guess in some cases people will be like, oh, they're adults. They're not. They're like teenagers still. So anyways, so he disappears, don't know what happened to him. They never mention his character again. It's very strange. So now these kids are in this other place that they were in when the platoon leader was alive. Now they're still in this place, and they're kind of just like surviving on their own. They're actually getting better at fighting. They're getting better at like shooting these like monster things, because they all have like guns and stuff. A bunch of stuff goes wrong, and eventually they decide to leave that place and to go find this other place and to go to this other safety. I think they're trying to go back to like Seoul, because they're in like the countryside of like Korea right now. So I think they're trying to get back to like a main hub or something. I can't remember where they were trying to get to. So they're on this journey. Stuff is going wrong. You know, there's always still just been fighting or disagreements in this thing and whatever. So they get back. They finally get to this like school, right? And they're like sitting in this school, and they're like, okay, we're gonna be okay, right? They're finally like feeling like they're not all gonna die. Then they almost all die. Like almost every character dies. Now let me explain how that happens. So remember the student that I said was a little bit crazy? Yeah, well, he goes on a freaking rampage, and he kills almost every student except for I think 3 of them survive. He also dies, but three of the students survive. Just 3 random kids. And then the end of the show is literally the main, kind of one of the guys who was like one of the main characters, kind of just like, it's like 2 years later, and he's like gonna take the entrance exams, but then he like decides not to, and that's like a big thing. And then he like goes outside and looks up in the sky, and there's like still technically orbs up in the sky, and like that's how the show ends. It was such a bad ending, and it was such an interesting show that they just ruined so heavily. Once they killed the platoon leader, honestly, the show went downhill. Once they killed one of their best characters, it was like, what is the point of the show? Now you might be like, okay, so why did that one guy go on a rampage? Like, why? That's so random. It wasn't random. As I said, he was a bullied student, okay? He was bullied super heavily. He was mentally obviously not okay because of the whole entrance exam things. And then he had found out, because like before they end up at the school, that's like the final, that sounds so depressing, but like final resting place for so many of the students. They had been at like this amusement park, and they were like playing around and having a great time. They're having a great, like the first time in the show they've actually been like okay and having fun. And he found a newspaper that said that that the entrance exams or the credits or something like that he was like, basically that was the whole thing he was holding on to the whole time, was like canceled, or like it wasn't gonna happen. So he just was already like, he was already so mentally gone, like, and disturbed at that point, and just not okay. And then this one girl that, okay, so then this is the other thing. This girl, one of the other students, was when life was normal, right, and they were just in school, he liked her, but she was like, ew, you're gross, and she just like was not interested in him at all, right? And so she comes and finds him after he finds out the news about the credit, or she's just like there for some reason. She was like walking, because it's like off on a beach by like the ocean, and I don't remember why she was over there, but for something happens, they have a whole confrontation, and he like I think he like pushes her or he hits her on the head or something happens, so she's knocked unconscious. Okay, now this guy, being unfortunately the perv and creep that he is, kisses her while she's unconscious. It's very gross, it's super weird, it's like very disturbing, it's as strange as it sounds. And this is where I was like, oh, this guy is, yeah, he's trash. I'm sorry if you were bullied, but like, this is disgusting, this is crossing a line. So the guy that bullies him and was kind of always picking on him sees that and like flips out, so he like kicks him off of her, and he's like trying to like wake the girl who's unconscious up. He's like, oh, are you okay, because she's just laying there. And then that guy, I think he hits him in the head with like a brick or something. The bullied hits the guy in the head, the bully with the brick, kills him, and then he drags him off into the ocean. So when the other students come and they're like, what's his name, I can't remember what his name was, but it was like, where is he, the little twerp goes, oh, the monster came and killed him. And the one of the other students who is like best friends with the other guy is like, no way. So then there's already this weird thing, and then it's like, oh, this girl is also hit on the head, what happened, why is she unconscious? And then he's like, and then I don't remember what he said, what he tells them, because obviously it's like, oh, I was the one that knocked her unconscious, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, there's this weird tension between the whole group. And so then by the time we get back to the school where they think they're safe, he's already so, again, mentally gone, fully gone. And then he's like hallucinating, and so I think he hallucinates that the girl that he hurt remembers and then tells everyone about what he did and what happened to her. And because again, he's like fully hallucinating at this point. And then that's when he just like snaps, and then he kills everyone and then dies himself. It's so sad. It was so sad. It was one of the saddest K-drama scenes I've ever seen. I was like crying while I was watching it, because I was like, this is so depressing. Like literally, yeah. So that was awful. The show ended so bad. I don't know if they changed writers halfway through the show. I don't know what happened, but it was so sad, and I was so upset at that show. And I liked so many of the characters died. One of my favorite characters also died, and it was so sad because I loved him so much. And it was just yeah, it was kind of terrible. Anyways, I think that's the end. I think that's the end of my that's all the shows I wanted to talk about. I'm sure I'll add more to the list, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't always enjoy the shows that I watch, but a lot of times will trek through them just to be like, I finished it. But yeah, for now, that's what I can think of. This to date is my longest video. It's 42 minutes. It's also because I went on a whole rant talking about two other people that didn't have anything to do with what I was talking about. But anyways, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. Hopefully the audio is not terrible. Okay, bye.